How I got the role is that I fit the suit. I've told this before, so I apologize for those who know the story. I was in a stable of actors, voice actors, that just worked for Saban at this point for years, at this, about 3-4 years. And so I was just given the role of Rita and directed to do, she's an evil witch, so do like the Wicked Witch of the West. So I did Rita, like, I'll get you, my pretty. And that's the pilot was pretty much like Margaret Hamilton from the, Wizard of Oz. And then they told me that they're replacing me because it wasn't scary enough for the kids. I said, well, that's what you asked for, so let me, do it again. And they said, no, we're gonna have an audition. And I said, okay, well, let me audition. They said, okay, you can audition. I was so pissed off that I went in there and I said, you want it scarier? You want it scarier? I'll give it to you scarier! And unbeknownst to me, I've been doing it for 5+ years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 20 years. And that's where Rita was born, was out of me being pissed off at them for not directing me the way they needed it directed in the first place.
Well, Carrie told you the story of how I got to Finster, so that's covered. And some of the monsters, I was just in the right place at the right time, and Scott said, do you want to do Eye Guy? I said, sure. And Bluefish, and now Lord Zed. So I had done Eye Guy and Bluefish and all these two other incidental monsters. And about, I don't forget whether it was after the second season or during the second season, Scott said there was going to be a bunch of auditions for new monsters. I said, oh, well, let me, since I'm only doing Finster, yes, 5 lines an episode, 4 lines, 2 lines. And he's up here like, this is the upper registers. Oh, my thing. I can use my lower registers for more of these monsters. I said, let me audition for someone. And on the table where the sides was Lord Zed. So I picked it up and said, I read through the description and the paragraph that the audition was going to be. And I said, can I audition for this? I thought it was just another monster. And I took it home and some of the other stuff on it, and I worked on it. And I came in and I said, well, let's drop the other ones and just do Lord Zed. So I did Lord Zed. Power Rangers. Blah, 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 blah. And, so I can lie. Well, Scott said, wow, that's great. Oh, he did. He said, yeah, that's great. And he said, wow, that's okay. So they sent it up the line to, and I always imagined there were like 10 to 12, I call them the nodding bobbleheads. They all have bobbleheads, and you got to all get the 10 or 12 bobbleheads to all be nodding. And that's how you get the job. So I don't know how many of the bobbleheads nodded, but it was good enough to get Scott's secretary, Karen, called me. He said, they want to see you again. Or they want to come in and read again for the Lord Zed. So I came in and I read again, and this time I did better. Power Rangers. Blah, 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 blah. Scott said, wow, that's great. So they sent it up the line, and I don't know what the bobbleheads were doing, but they came back again and said, listen, they don't think that's you. Can you come in again and read? I said, excuse me, then who do they think it was? Well, they just want you to prove it to you, so. Okay, how far do you want to go to get a role? So I was into it that much. And so it wasn't worth saying, look, screw you, just take my 2 auditions and the gods will handle it. So I went in and did it again. Apologies. Blah, 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 blah. And, wow, that's great. And it went off the line again. So I'm waiting and I don't hear anything. So I called Scott and said, what's going on with this? I've done it 3 times. And what's happening? And Scott says, well, I don't know. Why don't you call Eric Rollman, who's the executive producer. So I called Eric Rollman. I said, Eric, what's going on with Lord's Head? I've done it 3 times. Do you have somebody else in mind? He said, no. We just don't think it's you. We don't believe it's you. Because they were used to hearing me do Finster and Ratso Catso on Wells. Sound like this? Hey, where is it? And Elmer on Hello Spencer would sound like this. She put my girlfriend on Hello Spencer. And they just weren't used to hearing something like Lord's Head coming out of me. So I said, yeah, that's me. And I guess they wanted to know whether I could maintain the voice for a long time. And I had no idea it was going to be long. I thought he'd be in and out 2-3 episodes maybe at the most, because they were taking so much care. He wasn't just, I thought it was just make my muscle go, and he'd go, and then he'd get rid of him. So they said, no. Finally, I said, no, that's me. And finally, I guess a week later, came down and Scott's secretary, Karen, called me and said, you got the job. So it was a long, arduous path, but I stuck to it, and it was just hard work and diligence and a little bit of luck, and there it is.
King Mondo was gonna come up next door. I was doing Hal, the steward, on The Masked Rider. And Scott said, would you like to audition for this? Now I thought, the usual Power Rangers, you do an episode and then they blow you up. And they actually blew Mondo up like 3 times, so I thought it was done like 3 times. And he kept coming back, and the machinist said, yes, he'll be back. It's like, cool, I thought, great. And, but they brought me in, and then they let me read them, and a couple of weeks later I got it. But the cool thing is, one of the questions you asked is, what do we do between takes? What do we do between times? And I don't know how many people knew that I'm a school teacher.
Oh, wow.
And Mondo was in the room. What? It was always me.
Mine's real boring. Scott called me, I read for it, I got it. See how it's done, guys. The only thing I would say is prepping for the role was very easy. You drove once from Hollywood to Valencia. And you were able to play a villain in these.
Now, as a follow-up question.
Bravo.
All remaining questions must be answered yes or no.
If you could be any villain from Power Rangers, Masked Rider, Beetleborgs, or Beetletroopers, who would you be, or why?
Just following the instructions.
Bad guys don't play by the rules. They make you ornament.
Well, I'm not sure what villain I would be, but I did want to share just because I am kind of starstruck because of the amazing voice actors up here. And when they called me in to voice over my episode, they said, okay, now during your martial arts scene here, go ahead and do your fighting sounds. And I said, my fighting sounds? They didn't tell me I was going to do sounds. My mouth is closed because I just wasn't thinking about that. So they said, okay, well then when you're facing the back, you can do like, ha, ha, you can do open mouth sounds. But when you're facing the camera, then you can just go, So pretty much that's what my entire voiceover day was. I stood there and went, and then when I turned around, I go, ha, ha!
Yeah, but they say, can you give them a little more?
Right. And then they direct them. Right?
Different way.
But so now I would probably prepare better, but I knew I was going to do fighting sounds. If we were out in the park, I would have actually opened my mouth at some point. But anyway, so that's my voiceover experience, but it's really neat to be up here with these guys.